Welcome to 60 Skills. Today's topic is foci, or the use of focus. What is a focus? A focus are devices magicians use to focus their attention. Things like my mala, for example, or string of beads. You'll notice at the end of this, I have a little container. Inside this are several charged rubies. Now, the purpose of a focus is to absorb both an energetic charge and to provide a mental level construct. So the reality is you don't actually need a focus to make things work, but a focus makes working what we do meditatively, or magically, if you will, much easier to perform. At a mental level, for example, if you are engaging in an act of evocation, or the summoning and binding of spirits, you can do this, as we like to say, raw, which is where you generate the circle and the triangle in your mind, hold all of that in place, create all the other aspects of the ritual just using the power of the mind, and it can in fact work fine. However, doing this is rather draining. Additionally, by having a physical object to work with that can hold an energetic charge, this in turn allows you to build up a lot of energy in that object at the near physical level, which in turn makes your work simply easier. Now, that being said, with a bit of practice and some development, you can store large amounts of energy, for example, astral energy, and energetic reservoirs in the subtle realms. So understand that doing this doesn't require a physical device. The use of a physical device simply makes things easier. So what are some examples of foci that people commonly use? Well, of course, there's my mala. There are, for example, ritual weapons. Swords are commonly used, although for people who are energetically sensitive, if you take a tour through a medieval weapons museum, you'll find a lot of the weapons there are quite highly charged. Interesting for things that haven't been used in hundreds of years. Classically, a magician would also have things like a wand, or a crown, or a special set of clothing. Again, all of these things can perform energetic storage functions as well as their designed functions. So here are a few brief things you should consider if you want to use a foci. First of all, the stronger the focus is, typically the more the user had to do with its construction. This is a fancy way of stating that if you want a particularly powerful focus, it's best if you build it yourself. Even something rather crudely put together, such as my little container here, is oftentimes much stronger than something elegantly constructed by a professional. There are a few exceptions to this, but they're not really worth getting into until you have enough experience to know otherwise. So the bottom line is if you choose to use a focus or foci in your practice, you're best served by actually doing it yourself. Now, these can be very simple. For example, again, my little copper and glass tube container, or they can be very elaborate, as some of the mandala works are in traditional Buddhist circles. So again, don't break your mind worrying about, hey, I have to become some kind of master level craftsman here to make this work. A simply constructed device that is your own, again, is usually much more potent than something that is not. Now that said, natural materials tend to do a better job of holding a charge. So if you're going to do this, you're going to want to use beads, glass, metal. Plastic, for example, doesn't seem to do quite a very good job of this. Liquids also can hold a charge, and there's a whole entire school of working with this kind of thing, for example, in the use of laboratory alchemy, the use of spagyrics and other liquid-based compounds. So again, I think you get the idea here that a focus, or foci if you have multiple focuses you are using, are designed to hold a mental construct of something a practitioner is doing and additionally can hold an astral level charge of energy that a practitioner can work off of. Things like crystal balls, crystal rings, amulets, this kind of thing are other examples of that. So hopefully today's little talk has given you a few ideas of some things you can do with a focus. Be well.